council minutes. That was attachment 1 in the meeting packet. Everyone had a chance to review those.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay. Did you get that, Mike? We had a motion. Second was by Stephanie.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. And we do need to do a roll call as part of the remote rules for Open Meetings Act. So I will run through the municipalities and Bannockburn,
Yes, here.
Beach Park,
Aye.
Buffalo Grove,
Here.
Deerfield,
Yes.
Hawthorne Woods,
Yes.
Lake Barrington,
Yes.
Lake County,
Yes.
Lake Forest,
Aye.
Wadsworth,
Yes.
Waukegan,
Yes.
and Zion.
Yes.
All right.
All right, those are all yeses. That motion carries. Thank you for that. Item 3 is the Lake County Lake Council STP program. And first, under 3A, fiscal year 2021 active program management. Mr. Clemens.
All right, let me flip screens here. So we talked about this last week at the Transportation Committee, and we also talked about it last fall in October. We have some available funding in fiscal year 2021 to be able to reprogram. As our council rules allow, that could be done at a staff level for us to make that change and submit the tip change to CMAP and post a new program on our website. But as this is the first time we're going through this under the new program, I wanted to bring a recommendation to the committee and the full council. And so we went through our process for active program management. And if I flip slides here, we do have a hierarchy. This slide is from a couple of the trainings that we've done of how we would go about actively reprogramming funds in the current year. And so based on going through this hierarchy, and then I also reviewed all of the quarterly status updates that we received in December, it doesn't look like we have other projects that would be able to use the funding. So we did receive a request from the Village of Libertyville to program those additional funds on their Rockland Road project, which was led in April of 2019. The project was not funded at 80%. This cost increase that we're looking at today would not bring the project up to 80%, but it would help spend the money down, and it would help the village. So that is the request, is to reprogram the $441,000 that we have available to the Libertyville Rockland Road project. Part of why that the projects that are have been previously obligated are on the top of our hierarchy is all we have to do is do an amended agreement with IDOT to be able to get those funds spent, rather than having to wait for other milestones of a project to get to a letting. And so with that, we are seeking approval of this change today.
So we'll entertain a motion to for that approval, as Mr. Clemens has suggested.
First, a question, if I could, Mark Huber, Beach Park here. Mike, are you saying that you're requesting the approval to reprogram the dollars? That's it, right?
Yes, so we have,
Okay.
right now, we have 441,000 that is not programmed on a project in FY21. And so it would be to put those funds onto the Libertyville project.
Onto the Liberty, but it's not listed on the 2021 program. So is it, am I
That's
missing
because
something?
it's because the project was let in April of 2019.
Okay,
So
I
it
got
already
you.
went out for bid, and it was not funded at 80%. They're actually most of the way through construction. but they are seeking additional federal funds, trying to get closer to that 80%, which would just, it basically, it means it's lowering the village's obligation towards the
Yeah.
construction.
Right. Okay. So I'll make that motion approved. Thank you.
Second.
I'll second it. Stephanie Hannon.
All right, so we have a motion by Mr. Huber, second by Stephanie to make the change as outlined by Mr. Clemens. Are there any questions on that motion?
Yeah,
Any
this is Mayor Cunningham. Mayor Cunningham, I have one question would be, do we anticipate any other situations like this coming up for those funded dollar amounts?
Yes, good question, Mayor. And I actually meant to say that in my remarks. Yes, we do. We did have 2 projects in November that received favorable bids on the November letting. And so we are working with CMAP right now on the process for recapturing the savings that will come from the low bid. The first step of that is that FHWA has to de-obligate the funds. They authorized them at the engineering amount, and then the low bid came in under that. So they have to free up those funds in their system first before we can then recapture them. I don't know what the timing of that is. That's really kind of between IDOT and FHWA. And then I will work with CMAP to determine how much can be made available to the council, because there are non-participating costs in both of the projects, as well as construction engineering that's federally funded that usually doesn't come down with a low bid. We need to work together between the sponsor, the council, and CMAP to figure out exactly how much we can recapture and when that would be. Once those funds are able to be reprogrammed in the council, because they're low bid remainders, we will be able to carry them over into fiscal year 2022, rather than having the end of fiscal year 21, which is September 30th, to spend them by, which does give the council some more flexibility. So we will then follow our active program management hierarchy again. And I think what we'll be able to do, based on just ballpark of what we think we're going to be able to get back, I think there'll be a few projects in the out years that will likely be able to be moved up, because we have a couple that are ready to go. And then we'll likely be able to bring some of our contingency list projects into the active program, either in the current year or perhaps in an out year. But I do see some additional reprogramming happening over the coming months.
All right, thank you.
Good. Thanks, Sam, for that. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'm sorry, did we have a motion?
You did have a motion in a
have a
second,
motion.
so I
Second,
can do the
yeah.
roll call.
Okay, if you're ready, go ahead.
All right, Bannockburn,
Aye.
Beach Park,
Aye.
Buffalo Grove,
Aye.
Deerfield,
Aye.
Hawthorne Woods,
Aye.
Lake Barrington,
Yes.
Lake County,
Yes.
Lake Forest,
Aye.
Wadsworth,
Aye.
Waukegan,
Aye.
and Zion.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
All right, that sounds like all ayes, so that motion carries. Under 3B, we have the STP Subcommittee update.
So I just wanted to give everyone an update because the full council hasn't met since last August. In October, the Transportation Committee discussed forming a subcommittee to review the council rules and STP methodology and propose any changes that may need to be made for the upcoming call for projects, which will be a year from now, next January. And so we did get volunteers from around the county and some consulting staff as well. we've had our first meeting, which was a couple weeks ago after the new year. And so we had a really good discussion on some potential changes to scoring methodology and some ways to rank our projects. Staff is going to be working on some text edits of our current document, and we'll bring that back to the subcommittee to review and discuss. And then we will be bringing it to the full transportation committee and the full council later on in the year. The goal is to approve a final version of whatever changes are made at our September meeting, which would give everyone several months before the next call for projects, which will open in January of 2022. So with that, if there are questions, I'm happy to answer them, but just wanted to give an update on that process that's going on.
Good. Thank you for that. Any questions for Mike on that update? Hearing none, we can move on to item 4, which is the CMAP, TIP, and the NEPA priority process.
Yes, so we did discuss this at the Transportation Committee last week, but I did want to discuss it again. So, it will be a little bit of a repeat of last week. I do apologize for that, but this is an important rule that's being changed. Not really changed, it's newly being enforced. It's an existing federal regulation that's been on the books, but IDOT and FHWA are really sticking to this now. And so what is going on is for projects that are being processed as a categorical exclusion or above, so a EA or an EIS, in order for the phase 1 to be complete, for design approval to be granted and the PDR to be approved, a subsequent phase of the project needs to be in the active years of CMAP's TIP. And so it leads to situations like we've seen in the last couple months for projects that have not been awarded federal funds yet, that are trying to get their phase 1 completed. There's been some back and forth on how to go about meeting these requirements. And so CMAP has put together an FAQ sheet. It's on their website, but just a couple of the highlights to talk about here. So in order for as I mentioned, in order for the phase 1 to be completed, a subsequent phase of the project does need to be in CMAP's TIP. It doesn't necessarily mean that that phase has to be federally funded. It can have local funds, but there are some restrictions to that, and we'll get into that in a second. So CMAP has put out some guidance of what that means. So if a project has federal funds for phase 2, in order for us to put those into the TIP, we need to upload the award letter with those federal funds to show that the federal funds have been secured. That means projects on our contingency list where the funds are not guaranteed, they don't have those federal funds secured. So in order for those subsequent phases to be put into the TIP, the locals would need to commit local funding for those projects. But we cannot put local funds in the hopes that you're going to swap it out for federal funds later. If you're going to use local funds, you're committing your local dollars to that subsequent phase, to that phase 2. This does have and will have a significant impact on processing projects and the timeline of processing projects, especially for projects that need to have federal funding for phase 2 to advance. If you don't already have your federal funding awarded, let's just look at where projects are right now. If you're wrapping up your phase 1 right now in January of 2021, you can't get that design approval until the next phase is in the TIP. But if you're looking for federal funds, in order for that to happen, The next opportunity is our call for projects, January of 2022. And that is when applications open. Our program wouldn't be awarded until October, would be finally approved in October of 2022. At that point, you could get your design approval. And assuming we had the funding for your phase 2 in the early part of the program, then you could submit agreements to IDOT, which are currently 9 to 12 months of processing. So, you know, if you need federal funds for phase 2 and they're not currently in our active program, it's a couple of years away. We can put the local, we could put local funds on the project if you're going to proceed with local funds. But then you would need to submit either a resolution or a letter identifying those funds and the year that you're going to spend them in, or a CIP that shows that those local funds are going to be used. And Russell from CMAP I see is here. If there's questions or if you have anything to add, Russell, feel free to jump in.
Yeah, I'm gonna add something just briefly. Everything Mike said is accurate. This is not a new requirement, but it is something that we have to be sure that we're following. Part of it's because of our air quality. We are in a non-attainment area, and as part of the
I think we lost you, Russell. Well, if he comes back, we can have him finish his thought. It's the joys of Zoom.
It is.
Yeah, as Russell said, or was beginning to say, this is part of it is because the Chicagoland region is a non-attainment area for air quality, and so CMAP has a budget of making sure that all the projects that are in the TIP have available funding, and that those new projects are not going to put us further out of attainment for air quality conformity. So if Russell's able to rejoin us, we can go back to him. But that was what I had planned to say. If there are questions, I can try to answer questions.
Any questions on that process that you'd like to pose to Mike from anyone? All right, hearing none, that was a very clear description, so no questions have arisen. We can move on to number 5 if you'd, or number 5, the federal infrastructure priorities.
Yeah, so I just wanted to take a minute and share a little bit of information. CMAP has put together a region-wide list of priorities for a federal transportation bill reauthorization. As we talked about last year, the FAST Act was set to expire at the end of the federal fiscal year, September 30th of last year. Congress did act to extend the FAST Act 1 year. So now it is set to expire again at the end of this federal fiscal year, September 30th. And so CMAP has been leading an effort to try to put together a list of priorities for federal reauthorization across the region. Let me just take a pause here. I got a message from Mary from CMAP, Russell's colleague. He just wanted to mention that when it comes to air quality conformity, it looks like Russell's able to rejoin us.
Russell is
I'm
back.
sorry, I lost my internet right when I was making sense.
It's the joys of Zoom.
I sent you a message, but I was just going to say the conformity deadlines are different. So the opportunities, if you had a non-exempt project, and you guys have a lot of those in Lake County with ad lanes and stuff like that, it takes those deadlines, and Mike knows those, are a lot fewer opportunities to get stuff into the tip and get stuff conformed. So just be aware of those deadlines. And like I said, Mike knows that stuff.
So just to expand on what Russell's saying there, if we have projects that are adding new capacity, adding new lanes to projects, not reconstructions or intersections with auxiliary lanes, but we're adding new travel lanes, those have to go through an air quality conformity analysis. And that only happens twice a year at CMAP because they have to model the entire region and all the projects in the tip to make sure that we remain in conformity. So those can take, it could be several months for those type of projects to get added to the tip, which could also impact the processing of just adding those locally funded subsequent phases. Because if it's a project that's adding lanes, it still has to go through that conformity analysis. So, thank you, Russell. So jumping back to the infrastructure priorities, CMAP is working on finalizing it. It is not quite final. I checked in with staff yesterday. And so once it is final, I will share it out with everyone. But I just wanted to kind of mention that the topics that are included in their sort of regional overarching priorities for a federal reauthorization for a new long-term transportation bill. So top of the list is sustainable revenues. They're calling for a sustainable funding stream to bring solvency to the Highway Trust Fund, asking for the motor fuel tax to be increased and indexed to inflation, and to set up pilot programs for road usage charges like vehicle miles traveled. And then to make some changes to apportionment formulas to direct more funds to MPOs and states that are meeting their performance goals. The next major topic is strengthening public transportation. Once again, trying to bring solvency to the mass transit account, and then also calls for some federal funding for operations of mass transit. Right now, there's only federal funding for capital infrastructure, as well as calling for more in federal investment in paratransit programs. Additional funding for passenger rail, and to help fund the CREATE program. Performance-based programming, they're calling for a strengthening of the federal requirements for performance-based programming, which is how we currently select projects in our region at our, at the council level and at the CMAP region. We score and rank projects based on criteria. And so they're calling for more of that for federal discretionary programs. A lot of those are based on secretary discretion, and moving towards a more performance-based program would likely benefit our region. It discusses making some changes to provide a dedicated federal fund source for grade separations when it comes to multimodal freight, and some of the freight programs that are out there to make some changes. There's currently caps on multimodal type projects, and then also under safety, prioritizing safety, especially when it comes to pedestrians and cyclists. Even in 2020, with traffic levels being down, the region and the state, as well as nationally, the trends are continuing to climb for increases in serious accidents and fatalities, especially amongst pedestrians and cyclists. And then it kind of lastly, under innovation, it calls for some pilot programs for connected and automated vehicles, and allowing MPOs like CMAP to do some pilot programs around those things. So that is kind of a high level overview. Like I said, once CMAP finalizes their prioritization list, I will send that out to everyone so everyone can see that. Um, as everyone knows, we have, there's a new administration in Washington. They have repeatedly discussed making infrastructure a priority. The president has nominated the former mayor of South Bend, Pete Buttigieg, as the Secretary of Transportation. He had a confirmation hearing last week, Thursday, in which he discussed a lot of the priorities of the administration when it comes to transportation. He talked about building big. There seemed to be a lot of support for the ideas you were talking about. But, I think as we've seen in the past, most people tend to agree that infrastructure investment is a priority. But when it comes to figuring out how to pay for that, there's a lot of disagreements. And so it's going to take some time, likely for a new multi-year infrastructure bill, but it seems to be a priority, especially with the current multi-year program expiring in September. I would expect to see that be pushed, especially in the spring and summer. So I can pause there, take any questions. One of the things I did want to ask was, is there, appetite or, does the council want us to try to, draft a letter of support or, put together some priorities for reauthorization that could be shared, that kind of thing. So I will stop there.
It's probably not a bad idea, seeing as how it's somebody from the far south edge of our region that's going to be in charge of at the federal level. And maybe I'm a little biased, but sending a letter to the mayor, to Mayor Pete, probably wouldn't hurt anything. Just my opinion as a mayor.
So we can certainly work on putting together a letter. I think we did one a couple years ago, went before the FAST Act was set to expire, and we could look to update that and work with Mayor Rybeck and Mayor Rockingham to put that together if there's consensus to do that.
Right here, hearing no opposition. We'll move forward with that
Sounds
as
good.
well. All right. Thank you for that. Do we have any other business?
Just one thing that I wanted to mention, we heard from IDOT this Monday. They typically this time of year do a call for projects for statewide planning and research dollars. These are for planning, not infrastructure grants. But we did hear from them Monday that they are going to be postponing the call for projects this year, potentially 9 to 12 months for this fund source for planning projects. So just wanted to put that out there. I don't know, I haven't seen a circular letter or an official announcement, but we were told by IDOT staff that it's going to be postponed and that we could spread the word on that. So.
Okay, that's good. Mr. Phillips, did you have anything that you wanted to update us on from Transportation Committee meeting last week? I know you generally have some input at this meeting.
I don't have anything today. Thanks for asking, Mayor.
Okay, good. Thank you for that. All right, under 6A, I see statewide planning and research funds is on your screen, Mike.
Yes, so we just mentioned that. So IDOT is going to, it's going to be delaying that call for projects, postponing it. Perhaps if there's new federal relief, that postponement won't be as long. But they did mention that it could be 9 to 12 months before they do another call for projects for those grant programs for planning activities.
Understandable. All right, thank you for that. Any questions on that for Mike? If not, Have we received any public comment via email or any other means to be read during the meeting?
I have not received any public comment.
All right, thank you for that. Under number 8, it says our next meeting will be after all the salt trucks are washed and put away for the season, May 8th. And long after the groundhog does not see his shadow next Tuesday. If there's no other questions, do we need to do a roll call, or may I just, I can, if there's
a
no
meeting
other,
adjourned.
no other input, I'll declare this meeting adjourned at this time.
Hey,
Thank you.
Glenn,
Yes, Linda.
No, you gotta do a roll call.
I want to clarify real quick. You said next meeting, May 8th. The screen says May 6th.
I'm sorry, it's May 6th. I needed the
All right, just
glasses.
want to confirm. Okay, thank you.
All right, and Mayor Sam, you're telling me we do need a roll call?
Well, I was told whenever it's virtual that the state makes you do a roll call to adjourn, because I tried to do it in our regular meetings, but our corporate counsel say you need to do a roll call.
Well, we can do that.
I don't know if it applies.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
you're supposed to have a motion in a second, then everybody has to say aye to. That's what we're doing at our city council meetings.
All right. Well, then I'll
I'll move approval for adjournment.
Okay, I have a motion
Second.
by Phillips, second by Cunningham. I should say Deerfield and Waukegan.
All right.
Roll call
Bannockburn,
vote, please.
Bannockburn,
Aye.
Beach Park,
Aye.
Buffalo Grove, Deerfield,
Aye.
Hawthorne Woods,
Aye.
Lake Barrington,
Yes.
Lake County,
Aye.
Lake Forest,
Aye.
Wadsworth,
Aye.
Waukegan,
Aye.
and Zion.
Aye.
Aye for Buffalo Grove too. Sorry, I missed my button.
Thank you.
All right, well, can't say we didn't try, but thank you for that. And as I say, the next full council meeting will be, as I'm corrected by Linda, May 6th. Thank you for coming and stay healthy, it says.
Thank you, Mayor.
Take care, everybody. Have a nice weekend.